The Spotlight, shining a light on podcasts and videos that have caught our attention.
Hi and welcome to The Spotlight. I'm Jen Spiker and today I have not one but two things to share with you. The Vision app has resources for the whole family, including the kids. Quicksticks is an Australian-made series of quick Bible stories that can be enjoyed around the breakfast table, on the school run or anytime. Helping Hands is also homegrown. It's a TV show with weekly episodes showcasing people and organisations who make the world a better place. Each episode also features a panel discussion on related topics. We'll hear a Helping Hands panel talking about family soon. But first, I'll share an episode of Quicksticks called Return to Egypt.
The Spotlight with Jen Spiker.
Hi, welcome to Quicksticks, quick Bible stories for the everyday. I'm Bella and today I'm here with Mum.
G'day!
Last time, we heard how Joseph's 10 brothers had gone home from Egypt with very worrying news. They had told their dad Jacob that the boss of Egypt had spoken very harshly to them and thought they were spies. He had taken one of their brothers, Simeon, and put him in jail. Now they had to return with Benjamin, their youngest brother, so Simeon could be set free.
After a while, all the food they had brought home from Egypt was gone, and Jacob and his family needed more food. Jacob said to his sons that they should go back to Egypt and this time take a large present of the best fruit from their land for the boss of Egypt, along with double the money to return what they had been given back the last time. He also said that Benjamin could go with him, even though he was very worried that he would lose him as well.
When the brothers got to Egypt, they went to see the boss, who was Joseph, but they still didn't recognize him. But he knew exactly who they were.
Joseph said to his servant, "Take these men to my home and prepare a special meal for them, and we will eat lunch together."
The brothers were very worried. They thought they were going to get in trouble for taking home money last time they visited. But the servant told them not to be afraid and said, "Peace be with you, for the God and the God of your father has given you treasures in your sack." Then he brought Simeon out from the jail to see them, and together they washed their feet and got ready for lunch.
When Joseph arrived home for lunch, all the brothers bowed down before him and gave him the presents they had brought from home. Joseph said to them, "How is your father? Is he still alive?" And they answered, "Our father is healthy, he is still alive." And they bowed down completely to the earth.
Then Joseph saw Benjamin, and he was so emotional that he had to go out of the room so they wouldn't see him cry. When he had washed his face, he came back out and asked the servants to serve lunch.
As they sat down, they were amazed because Joseph, who they still didn't recognize, was able to sit them in order from oldest to youngest.
Then Joseph served them lunch and gave Benjamin 5 times more food than the others. They all ate and drank and had a wonderful time together.
The next day, the brothers got ready to go home. The servants filled each of the brothers' bags with lots of food and returned their money to the top of each sack. Joseph asked his servant to put his own silver cup in the top of Benjamin's sack. Mm-hmm.
The man started off their donkeys, and when they'd only gone a little way, they saw Joseph's servants chasing behind them.
The servant said to them, "Why have you given me good for bad?"
They said, "Why do you say this? We wouldn't steal from your master's house. With whoever you find, let him die, and we will be your slaves."
The guards searched through the sacks and quickly found the cup hidden in Benjamin's bags. The brothers were very upset and they tore their clothes. They went back to the city and fell down before Joseph.
One of the brothers named Judah said to Joseph, "God has found out the bad that we have done, and here we are to be your slaves."
But Joseph couldn't hold himself back anymore and asked all the servants to go out so that he could talk to his brothers alone. When they were alone, he cried so loudly that the whole palace could hear, and he said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Does my father still live?"
But the brothers couldn't answer him because they were so surprised.
Joseph told them to come close and said to them, "I'm Joseph, your brother, who you sold into Egypt. But now don't be so angry or sad with yourselves, for God sent me before you to preserve life. For there will be another 5 years of famine, and God has sent me to save your lives."
God had an incredible plan to save the family of Jacob from the famine. He had prepared Joseph for all those years so that he would be able to protect his family and provide for them. God has special plans for you too in your life and is preparing you now for the future.
And that's good news.
Have a great day.
Bye.
If you have a favourite podcast or video series that you want featured on The Spotlight, click Contact Us at vision.org.au and share the link.
Joining me in the studio today to talk about different types of families, we've got Mike Gore, the CEO of Charitable. We've also got Emmylou Brasso, who's with the Salvation Army Youth Services as part of Oasis Youth Services, and also Brett Ryan, the CEO of Focus on the Family. Thank you all for joining us. Brett, can you tell us what the modern Australian family looks like these days?
I wish it was a clear answer, but that is changing. And if you only look at about 50 years, how the size of families has changed. It's decreased. The typical family of, mum, dad, 2 kids, that is probably still 44% of our culture. But we're seeing an increasing number of single parent families, and we're also seeing blended families. And then you have the fur baby families and those people who are just chosen to not have children at all, as another factor. So we actually have lots of different shapes and sizes in our family dynamics.
What's your experience been, Mike, growing up in Australia and what families look like?
Yeah, look, I probably have a relatively unique family experience. I was adopted from India when I was 6 months old. I grew up in a white Australian family, had two white sisters. I was the only brown kid in school till I was 16. I have taken all sorts of racism that you could not believe because of that. Grew up in one of the whitest parts of Sydney. And so my experience of family has been both incredibly powerful and beautiful, and it's been an incredibly difficult journey at times, finding a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose. But one thing I am unbelievably thankful for is the family that I was adopted into. Yeah. A beautiful Christian family that allowed me to feel part of that family. And because of that, a sense of stability, pride in who I am, pride in this country, to be honest. I love Australia and I love all that it's offered me. And a really, really positive family experience in that regard.
Do you think there's such a thing as a typical family then in Australia?
No, I think that everyone, we love to live in boxes and containers. We like to try and put things in a way that allows us to find a sense of safety or stability. One thing I am sure of is the notion of family is incredibly fluid and it is always changing. I remember a good friend of mine, Tim Costello, said to me once, "Hey, Mike, to love your kids equally, you must treat them differently." And that absolutely blew my mind. Good. Because if I look, we live in a society that wants to normalize everything. Man, everyone gets the same pajamas at Christmas or whatever it might be. But the truth of it is, families are fluid. We are all individuals. We all carry different things that shape us over time. Families are fluid.
So, Emmylou, then, for the young people that you're working with who their family life might not look like what we might imagine, what is family to them?
Oh, look, family in the definition of the birth family, like Brett was saying, mum, dad, nuclear family, that really rarely exists with the young people that I work with. And in fact, the birth families would often carry a lot of trauma for them or a lot of neglect and hurt, and it can be quite a triggering idea to have that family. So for them, I find that they redefine family through the people in the community that look out for them or their support protective people. It could just be a coach in a sports team or an older mentor. For a lot of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander families that I work with, it can be a beautiful, big, blended, extended family, cousins, family, friends. Yeah, just people looking out for them.
What does a good family look like then? In the fact that it comes in so many different shapes and sizes, how do we define a good one?
Well, I think it's where everyone gets a chance to be heard. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a chance to be listened to. A sense of belonging, which Mike has alluded to. I think that's really important. And I think being selfless, serving one another, that would make a good family when everyone actually has looking out for each other to bring out the best.
And if you are in a family, it's something we can easily take for granted, and yet we all need it. What are the benefits of being in a secure, safe family environment?
I think, and we need to be really mindful and cautious, particularly for the people that Emmylou works with, is that there is this catch-all that can say, hey, if your experience of family isn't this, then maybe it's not a family. And I really want to be clear that there are some people out there who have had incredibly positive experiences of family, some that have had incredibly heartbreaking experiences of family. But for me, I would say the three core elements to any sort of family unit, they must provide a sense of safety, right? Is the environment safe? A sense of belonging, that you feel part of it. Again, bringing a brown-skinned kid in a white family, belonging was really important because you definitely didn't look like you belonged. And thirdly is to be noticed, that your actions have a contribution and matter.
So, Brett, is there a difference between your household, the collection of people you live with, maybe it's friends, maybe it is, biological family, and what you might define as family?
Well, I think the important thing is to recognise that, and Mike has just mentioned before about sense of belonging and that you matter, you're important, you're of a high value. And sometimes people can find that in their lovely family network, and that's, again, an ideal. But then there's other types of family dynamics, that there's roommates or there's your sporting team, and they become your go-to people, your people, and they become significant in your world, and they can look out for each other, cheer each other on, encourage, and that can become just as important. And they can actually say, that's my family.
So, Emmylou, when a young person you're working with maybe doesn't have those things, how do you work with them?
The first thing that I look at is how can we build up that safety network or that support network for them? And often that is just looking at their interests, their skills, and finding things in the community that they can be a part of, whether that be studying a course and having people around them with a like-minded kind of interest, or joining a sports team, or going to a church or anything like that will help them connect with safe people.
And that probably plays a little bit into the phrase we always hear that you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. What's your response to that idea? Well,
it's exactly right. You don't get to choose who your mum and dad are, or your brothers and sisters, but you can choose the people around you that you allow into your world that aren't going to be damaging and toxic. But that doesn't mean, it doesn't give you an excuse to say, I'm not going to make an effort to make my family be as best it can be. There are some times when it is dysfunctional and you need to remove yourself. But at the same time, I think there's been some people I know that deconstruct the family because they like their little network of people that agree with them all the time, and that becomes their world. I think family is messy and we don't always get along, but we can love each other and learn to respect one another. That's the ideal.
On the Spotlight, that was Brett Ryan on a Helping Hands panel, talking about what family looks like in Australia. Before that, we heard Quicksticks with a short retelling of the story of Joseph's brothers when they came to Egypt to buy grain. Quicksticks and Helping Hands are Aussie-made programs available on demand in the Vision app. You'll find new episodes of Helping Hands every week in the Watch tab of the app. New Quicksticks episodes are available every weekday in the podcast tab. Quicksticks is also heard on the Vision Kids live radio stream. You can listen to Vision Kids in the app, online at visionkids.org.au, or you can tell your smart speaker to play Vision Kids Radio. My name is Jen Spiker, and I look forward to joining you next time on The Spotlight, or share another podcast or video worth highlighting.
For more great podcasts and videos like the one featured today, check out vision.org.au or the free Vision app.